Hello, my name is Bob Hill, and I'm the president of the Church of Scientology Mission of Riverdale at 308 Broadview Avenue in Toronto. This is our 10th Sunday service delivered online during the coronavirus disease restrictions. We look forward to having our churches open soon. But in the meantime, we will continue to bring you Sunday service on the internet. The topic of today's sermon is how to understand your rights and create peace. Now, the exact piece of information I'll be using is the actual creed of the Church of Scientology to explain that to you. And so as I go along, I'll be explaining each point of the creed with you. The creed is very applicable to today's situations. Scientology is a practical religion, and it is for use to improve situations. Scientology teaches a person how to know. That's what the word means, knowing how to know. Understanding words makes it possible to learn and survive. So I'll explain key words as I go along. Now, before I start on the creed, I'm going to just clear up a few words that are going to be involved in the creed. Okay? Good stuff. A right is something that belongs to a person by law, nature, or tradition. They must be allowed to do that thing or have that thing. That's a right. A creed is a brief statement of beliefs and principles of a group or a religion. Inalienable rights are rights that cannot be taken away from you. And you'll find I'll be using that word several times. In the last sermons, we talked about finding truth by observing and discovering if something is correct or true for you. I have studied and observed the creed of the Church of Scientology for 46 years. I have found it too contains powerful truths, and I invite you now to listen to the creed and see if it is true for you. Okay? The creed gives us tools to achieve peace. It was written by L. Ron Hubbard in 1954. I'll read it now and give examples of how it applies to life. Here is the creed of the church. We of the church believe that all men have inalienable, that all men of whatever race, color, or creed were created with equal rights. Now, the word men here means mankind. Examples would be that men and women of all nationalities, all colors, all religions were created to have the same basic freedoms. There are 30 basic human rights per the Declaration of Human Rights established on December 10th, 1948 at the United Nations, and these are the same rights for everyone. They were established to prevent the very bad violations that happened during World War II and other world wars or wars that have occurred on this planet. Okay? Very good. That all men have inalienable rights to their own religious practices and their performance. An example of that would be a Scientology funeral service is different than a Christian funeral service. However, both religions have the right to practice their own service. And you will find that most religions, although different, have a similar message that they're trying to convey to people. And much of it is truth, and much of it is in the direction of peace and rationality and sanity. Okay? That all men have inalienable rights to their own lives. You have the right to live and control your own life. Slavery and murder and chaos and anarchy, these violate your rights. You do have the right to live, and you have the right to your own life. You don't have to live a life that is tormented with insanity. Okay? That all men have inalienable rights to their sanity. See, that leads right into it. To drive someone insane with fear, we've seen quite a bit of that with the media putting out what they've put out recently. Drugs or human bondage would also be going against their rights. Have you ever seen anyone driven insane? I'm sure if you ask yourself that question, you may find an answer. An example of driving someone insane would be a person has an issue, they go to their doctor recommends them into psychiatric treatment, they're given shock treatment. The shock treatment makes them less able, and eventually they just can't take it any longer. Many of the things we see where people do inhuman actions and actions which are unnatural, you will find that many of them, the root of it may be a drug, for example, or they just weren't handled properly when they expressed their problem. That all men have inalienable rights to their own defense. In war, we have seen these rights taken away and people thrown into concentration camps and killed. We should be alert to anyone telling you that you cannot defend yourself. You don't have to sit down and lie back and just, well, it's happening and I'm just going to let it happen. And, you know, we've seen what happened in, well, let's take Venezuela. People of Venezuela allowed their properties to be taken away from them. Their businesses closed down. They couldn't defend themselves. After a while, they just got taken over, and now you have a country that was once highly prosperous and beautiful, no longer has that attached to it. In fact, many of the people are finding it difficult to have food every day. That all men have inalienable rights to conceive, choose, assist, or support their own organizations, churches, and governments. The importance of democracy and freedom of religion is included in the basic forming agreements of many nations on earth. It is vital that we have that data, okay? That all men have inalienable rights to think freely, to talk freely, to write freely their own opinions, and to counter or utter or write upon the opinions of others. Very key point. Just as I have the right to come up here every Sunday and speak to you with my information with Scientology, with the datums that I give you of Scientology, you have the right to your opinion as well. The important thing is that we remain responsible with our communications, and we make sure that we try and stick with information that is true, and we don't include in our communications the spreading of lies, prejudice, racism, etc. Okay? Very good. That the souls of men have the rights of men. This is a powerful part of the creed that takes an individual looking. Some believe that they are only material or a body. I'm sure you've run into people like that, and maybe even yourself you've wondered, am I anything more than a body? Now others have had experiences which would determine that there is something more to them than a body, and they know they are separate from the body. Now there's a simple drill you can do to clarify this for yourself. Okay? Close your eyes. You got it? Now, look at a cat. Really get the fur and color and texture of that cat. Give it a good try. Okay? That's you looking at that picture. You are not your body. You are a soul, a spirit. Now, with that understanding, examples of these rights might be a spirit unnaturally locked in a destroyed body by science. When we say a destroyed body, We could fill someone's body up with chemicals, for example, that may be harmful to them. And the spirit is locked into that body. You could have experimental actions taken on you have a fetus in the womb, for example. The baby's growing, it's progressing along, and then all of a sudden someone takes that away or rips out the fetus. The soul could get trapped into that particular point, which is not necessarily healthy. So keep that in mind, that the souls of men have the rights of men. That the study of the mind and the healing of mentally caused ills should not be alienated from religion or condoned in non-religious fields. Now, the examples of this can go on and on and on. In years past and in decades past or centuries past, when people felt they had mental problems or they were suffering from depression or they were crushed spiritually, they'd go to their church, they'd turn to their religion, they'd speak to their minister or their priest, and they would feel better after they had communicated. It was an illness of the soul. There are illnesses of the body which do need medical treatment. However, the treatment of mentally caused ills should not be alienated from religion or condoned in non-religious fields. The examples of brutally treating people, for example, they may have experienced a major loss in life, a parent died or a close friend died and they felt depressed. They go to a doctor, they're giving some kind of mental treatment, psychiatric treatment such as shock treatment, and the shock treatment makes them incapacitated, unable to work. These things we don't condone, and we feel that should be stopped. Now, in Scientology, we have self-improvement courses that teach people about the mind. We have spiritual counseling that deals directly with helping people with mental issues. We know of a group that will help the mentally ill get out of the hands of psychiatry and into a more gentle field, let's say, that will take care of them spiritually. That's called the Citizens Commission on Human Rights. Okay? And you can look them up online. But the spirit should be treated by religion. Okay? That's a tough one, and as mentioned earlier, take a look at it. The next datum: no agency less than God has the power to suspend or set aside these rights overtly or covertly. An agency is an active force or power, someone or something that does something. So it's an active force or power that someone has or something has that does something. No force other than God has the power to stop people from living. No other being or organization can overtly, which means openly, or covertly, which means in a hidden way, take life or equal rights away from you. Okay? That's another part of our creed. And we of the church believe that man is basically good, that he is seeking to survive, that his survival depends upon himself and upon his fellows, and his attainment of brotherhood with the universe. Now, if you hear someone saying all of this group or all of that group is evil, really look for yourself. You can achieve much greater peace by having the opinion that all people are basically good. Try looking at the possibility that under whatever trouble or problem someone has, there is a good being. The universe is all created things, and a brotherhood is a group of people united and cooperating. So in the creed, we believe that your survival depends upon getting to a condition where all created things and all spiritual beings exist in harmony and can survive together. That's the attainment of brotherhood with the universe, and that is what we work to achieve. You got it? Very good. And we of the church believe that the laws of God forbid man to destroy his own kind, to destroy the sanity of another, to destroy or enslave another's soul, to destroy or reduce the survival of one's companions or one's group. We recently saw a planet erupt in protest in the middle of a pandemic because of a murder that was seen by many and which violated the rights of mankind. We must continue to speak out peacefully when our rights are violated. Violence is not the route to go, nor should we condone the innocent being murdered by those who do not have control over their senses. And we of the church believe that the spirit can be saved, that the spirit alone may save or heal the body. So, you may have heard of times like this. For example, soldiers on battlefields, close to their friends, things are not going well, and instead of lying there and suffering, suddenly their suffering abates. They heal up quickly and they get back into it with their friends to help out. We've also seen times when a person is right on the brink of passing away, and suddenly they just miraculously come back out of it. Or they heal, their body heals, and there's no medical explanation for it. Well, the spirit alone may save or heal the body. Now, you've seen people with grief and despair. So instead of having them suffer, we've seen that in counseling them properly with spiritual counseling, as I mentioned earlier, they can come out of it and they feel better. So, that is their creed. And again, I invite you to see if it is true for you. Peace can be achieved by following the principles of the creed. You can start right away by looking at the goodness in each person you meet. Okay? Very good. I will now read for you the prayer for total freedom. May the author of the universe enable all men to reach an understanding of their spiritual nature. May awareness and understanding of life expand so that all may come to know the author of the universe. And may others also reach this understanding which brings total freedom. At this time, we think of those whose liberty is threatened, of those who have suffered imprisonment for their beliefs, of those who are enslaved or martyred, and for all those who are brutalized, trapped, or attacked. We pray that human rights will be preserved so that all people may believe and worship freely, so that freedom will once again be seen in our land. Freedom from war and poverty and want. Freedom to be, freedom to do, and freedom to have. Freedom to use and understand man's potential, a potential that is God-given and God-like. And freedom to achieve that understanding and awareness that is total freedom. May God let it be so. Now, if you have any questions or would like someone to talk to, you can reach us at 416-792-1889. And if you call in or email us, we also have copies of The Way to Happiness and free booklets on how to stay well. In summary, know and defend your rights and look for the goodness in every person you meet. Create calm and peace everywhere you go. Join us next Sunday for more ways to help you improve and handle your lives in these extraordinary times. Thank you.